It's like the biggest honour of my life to be a Palestinian and a member of a Palestinian family, and like the biggest heartbreak of my life. I'm completely devastated by the genocide that is being enacted in Gaza. As a woman, as a mother, I feel really heartbroken for every individual in Gaza, but we hear lots of stories about 50,000 pregnant women in Gaza. We hear about women giving birth in unbelievable circumstances and having operations without any anaesthesia, like cesareans. We also see that people do not have water. 97% of the water is not usable. That they don't have any food, they're starving. So if they're not being bombed, they're going to starve to death. And we've already started seeing children starving to death. Being a Palestinian is something quite extraordinary. Just to exist as a Palestinian is resistance. And it's really hard to watch people that are your tribe literally being imprisoned, being murdered, being starved, and not be able or not feel like you can do anything about it. There's almost like this feeling of helplessness. And being part of the diaspora and being away and never being able to step foot in Palestine for me is really, really sad. And it's been a really hard thing to accept. And what it also means is that we don't have our family beside us to hold each other in these times. So, you know, those really beautiful Palestinian families that we see sharing food together, and the celebrations of rites of passage like marriages or birthdays, or, you know, all these beautiful footage we've seen from Gaza before these atrocities happened. We haven't necessarily been able to have those things because we're so far away and fragmented from each other. So for me, it's the most beautiful thing and the most painful thing. I love being a Palestinian. I feel like when I started being an activist more recently and doing more, that I was like born for this. I really feel that very strongly. And at the same time, I mourn the lack of being able to be together with my community and to be together with my family who live all over the world because they've had to leave. And it's a really hard thing to accept. Even right now, even when they're leaving their homes and going from place to place and there's nowhere safe, they still sit down together and they eat what food there is available. They still feed the animals they find that are also, you know, roaming around, not having a place to be. And I see that kind of humanity amongst them, that they will reach out and take somebody's hand who's lost and maybe is now orphaned. So yeah, I'm really, really devastated. And at the same time, I think watching what's happening unfold on our screens, we've got the privilege to turn it off at any point, means that we see what faith really is. Like, I see people carrying on, like Wael, the Al Jazeera reporter who lost his wife, his son, his daughter, his grandchild, and he found out live on air. And then the very next day he got up and went back to his job because he needs to document the genocide that's been enacted on his people. And so I see people doing extraordinary, superhuman things because they have to, not because they want to, but they are doing it. And that just astounds me. It really does.